What's the one word I tell the girl to get her to sleep with me?
Totally.
It's like, dude, that's not what it is. Do you have those shoes? Like, can you sell them? Are you ever gonna like release them?
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
And same thing when I would actually talk to somebody at the door. They'd be like, oh, those are cool shoes. It wasn't just like, what are you selling me? There still was that.
Totally.
But there was a different element to the interaction now.
Yeah.
And that's, like we were talking out there and here, that's the stuff that people don't pay attention to that's ultimately more important than anything else.
Ultimately more important than anything else. Yep.
And I think that's so overlooked. But then when you bring it up, it's like, I don't want to hear that shit, Austin. Just, you know, tell me what's the magic script?
Yep.
What do I tell them?
What's the magic script? It's well, you know what's funny? You know what I get all the time?
Yeah.
I get, hey, Austin, what do I do when I'm 18? What do I do if I'm young? What, at 19, 18, 19, 20, I'm like, I've heard you say it before.
Yeah.
You're the only one thinking about it. They're not thinking about it. You know, to this day, I've never been asked how old I am. I've sold $30 or $40 million of the real estate, and not one of my clients knows how old I am. Because I don't think about that. Like I go, it's the persona, right, that you carry. It's how you carry yourself. You were just talking about that in a meeting a little while ago.
Absolutely, man.
And it's you know, it's the little things. Like it's people want to have all the answers. And my whole motto in life is fire, ready, aim. Like just fire, dude. Like if you try and aim for the deer forever and you sit there and aim and aim and aim and aim and aim forever and then you pull the trigger and fire, like the deer's gone. Like you missed it. You missed it.
I totally agree, dude. And like on the same tip with the younger people, I'll get the message from the 13 or 14-year-old saying, bro, like you have the Supra, you have this, you have that, like my life is over, I'm a loser. I'm like, dude, you're 14 years old. What the fuck? That's the trippy part about social media is now, you know, I'll get messages too, bro, why'd you get a haircut? Everybody has one. I'm like, everybody, and they'll name like Cody and like 5 other YouTubers. I'm like, okay, who do you know personally that you can shake their hand and call your friend that has one?
Exactly.
So that's kind of, I think it's made it more easy for people to look at something and say, I can do this, but at the same time, it's made people delusional.
100%.
Like, I've lost count of how many people under 18 message me and say their life is over, or they're like, bro, I'll never catch up. I'm like, dude, I'm twice your fucking age. Absolutely, dude. You know?
Absolutely. And that goes back to, we were talking about, the Austin's behind the camera right now, we were talking about, you know, like social media, dude, just how fucked up it's like. It's such a great thing, but we saw what documentary, Austin, did we see where they were talking about like how damaging it was? Anyways, it's on YouTube.
On YouTube,
you know, and it's just talking about like the big social media companies, and it's just taking over people's lives, dude. Because it's the highlights, bro. It's the highlights. People look at your Huracan, and it's the best lighting, right? And the best, and it's nice and clean. It's perfect, and it's that. And the fitness models, right? They're fasted and they haven't eaten yet that day, and they just lifted and they rubbed oil on their skin and they took the picture. And somebody else is comparing themselves at 9 o'clock at night after a full day of eating and bloating and this, that, and the other to this guy on Instagram. They're like, I'm a failure. That's insane. It's the world we live in.
And you don't, exactly. You don't see what's going on behind it, right? Like I'll tell somebody, hey, I did this to get the car, and it's like they either don't want to hear it or they're like, oh, just show me the car.
Exactly.
It's insane, and it's this battle right now for like viral content, right? That's why you'll see like the Logan Pauls, and again, I'm not taking away from what they're doing because they're genius in the aspect of making money like that. But I don't know. I foresee some kind of shift because we're more of like 100%. On the educational side. And I think at some point there will be that tipping point where now people will appreciate and go for that more than just like, oh, I want to sit here while I'm eating popcorn and get entertained for 30 minutes.
Absolutely.
You know? I'm starting to see that shift, right? Because I don't know, maybe you have or you haven't. Like I'm really starting to see that because I'm seeing more people at a younger age come to me or other outlets and say, hey, I want to learn about this. Totally. Not just like, oh, hey, entertain me. Right.
Absolutely. Well, and I think it applies to, it's funny that you say that because it's not just business or entrepreneurship anymore, right? Like it's, you know, to deep core like happiness, fulfillment, abundance, prosperity level. Right. You know, like you said earlier, I mean, it's really old and you know, used a lot, but how you do anything is how you do everything. Right. Exactly. Right. So, you know, it's one of those things, if you can master like just the art of playing full out. Like I was talking to one of my buddies the other day and he's just like, dude, like I just don't half-ass anything. Like it just, if I do something, I do it. I go all in. Like at the gym, if I'm gonna climb the Stairmaster, like I'm gonna climb till failure. Like, you know, just and then, but that translates into every other aspect of life. So, you know, maybe you're not an entrepreneur. You know, maybe you work and you make 70, 80 grand a year. But like, how much quicker could you climb that corporate ladder and stuff if you had this mindset? The right mindset. If you had this mentality, like of how you do anything is how you do everything, and it's common sense when you've been doing it for a long time. But that goes back to our conversation we were having a little while ago before we were recording this, and it's like common sense isn't so common. You know, it's like people don't understand that was once something that we had to consciously think about until it became something that we subconsciously never had to think about. You know. So
and it's a process, I think, and then people will look at that and be like, "Oh, dude, Austin, I'll never be at your level." Too, kind of like the person who looks at the guy like Ty Lopez, like, "Oh man, he has 3 Lambos in this," like, fuck. But it's really about setting a foundation. I remember when I started, dude, and going to my mentors, and I remember at my first real estate office, I remember hearing Fernando and one of the other guys having a conversation. And they were talking about like they were in escrow on a deal on like a $6 million building, right? And at that time, I had told myself, I was like, dude, if I make $5,000 a month, like I'm the fucking like rappers can't even touch me. Like that's how that's how badass I'm gonna be. So hearing that, of course, in that moment, I was like, I don't know if I'll ever get there. But then I knew, I was like, okay, obviously, talking to these guys, I found out they started where I'm at.
Totally.
It's, you know, you got to take it a step at a time.
Yeah.
And I think people want the leap.
They want the leap.
They want the elevator or the escalator.
Totally.
Instead of just saying, you know what, I have to just commit to taking a step every day or every week or whatever it is, and I'll get there. And once you start, I guess you can say, peeling back the layers of the onion, it becomes easier, right?
It
and
does.
You fall into it. And then you get into the position now, kind of where we're at, where now you get even more fulfillment from teaching people and seeing them grow. Like I shared with you, like the hour that I train my team every day for me is like the highlight of my, like I love that shit. Even more than meeting with the client in Laguna for like $4.5 million. That's going to be a fucking $130,000, $140,000 check, but this to me is like, it's like you feel like the raise,
and you can feel the energy. Like I was sat in the room while you did that, you know, and it's like the energy that comes out of you when you're training your team. Like I want to be a part of it. I'm like, I put my phone down. Like I'm not even on your team. I'm like, this is freaking awesome, you know. And you know when you're passionate about that, and that's like momentum breeds momentum kind of thing too. You know, like that's what a lot of people. Like the ball, it's really hard to get momentum, but it's not hard to keep it once you got it.
Right. Yeah.
You know, and that's kind of where we're like, because you were talking about the whole, it takes time, and it does. But it's like if you just give it the time, like if you just don't give up. So what I see a lot of people doing right now is the shiny object syndrome, shiny toilet syndrome, right? Now real estate, I tried that for 3 months, didn't work. I'm gonna do insurance. Tried that for 3 months, didn't work. I'm gonna do Amazon FBA. Tried that, didn't work. I'm gonna do Shopify. It's like, dude, just stick to one thing. Give it a year. Give it 2 years. You know, then get some momentum, like master your craft. And then momentum breeds momentum. Now look, you know, you get on social media and you have other businesses, and you know, you have a car or whatever, right? Like you go to Chipotle, a business guy or someone might walk up to you and be like, hey, like, and all of a sudden you just met somebody because of that, right? So again, momentum breeds, you know, you gain new opportunities by having those opportunities. So.
And another thing that I shared recently that's tied to this is I made a video, I think like 2 days ago on my YouTube, where I said, you know, if we make a scale now, 1 to 10, as far as like you said, buckle down and master the skill, getting from like 1 to 7 or 7.5 is actually pretty quick, where you can already start seeing results. But like 7.5 to 10 is like that parabolic curve, right? But people still don't realize that once you get to 7 or 7.5, you're already doing a lot better than the average person. So if the average person is making $50K a year, you'll probably be at 80, 90, or 100, which is already good. Now, really buckle down, put it in 6th gear, and say, okay, now I'm gonna take it from 100 to 500, then to 1 million. That's when that first 3 months to get to 7 is there, but then it's going to take the extra 2 years now to get from 7.5 to like 9 or 10. Right? That's the key that people, they'll get to 5 or 6 in your example and then give up and throw in the towel. Oh, it's not working. I closed 1 deal. Right? But they're like literally, it's like the, have you seen that meme of the
on Facebook? And
the guy's like this close to the diamonds, and then you see the other guy, he's like, I'm going for it.
He's going all the way.
That's what I thought of when you said that, dude, and that's so important.
It's so true.
That's why when I have somebody who's already getting good, right, but they think they're not, I constantly remind them. Right? Like my new guy Kevin, he's doing well, but even he's like, oh, I didn't. He'll tell me a story and be like, oh, I did these three things wrong. I'm like, dude, you did these 5 things right. And he's like, oh, I didn't look at it that way. So you have to really start, you know, looking at things a little bit differently and understand that, dude, this is the long game.
It's a long game.
It's a long game.
It's a long game. And just for my listeners, we'll switch in really quick. I'm just curious, you know, how long have you been doing this? Like, how long have you been in real estate?
4.5 years.
4.5 years. And I mean, you know, first year, I mean, what were your results like?
I did 15 deals my first year. I think it was 123,000 in GCI. You know, our prices here in California are a little bit higher. Right? The end of the next year is when I started building my team, right? And that's when I started shouldering all the responsibility and deals to them. And now, I think in a couple months, like my face will pretty much be off the branding, and it's all them. Because for everybody watching, you get to a point now where you want to scale, right? And if you don't know what that means, you know, we can obviously maybe do a course on that or something. But basically, I just wanted to step out of it, right? It's called leveraging, right? I wanted to not be the person, the CEO, also being the janitor, right?
Exactly.
And I started hiring talent around me, and I had aspirations of doing other things. You know, I really enjoy doing YouTube, teaching, doing events, you know, selling products and doing this stuff, and investing too, investing in real estate, you know, which we could probably talk about another time. And I wanted to do that, but I was 14 hours a day in real estate. And even though it was lucrative and I made money, I didn't just want to do that.
Right.
And I think when you have the skill, right, you've gotten to that point of being like 8 or 9 now, that's when you need to start thinking, okay, do I want to do this and be the employee, or do I want to be a CEO now?
Totally.
Right?
Totally.
Now the game changes.
Absolutely.
But people won't even make it to that point.
People won't make it to that point, right? So it's the evolution. So 4.5 years. You know, but again, I mean, what is it? People are going to so you, okay, so a normal person graduates at 18 from high school, and in 4 years, you know, they're going and they're I guess, well, you get a master's degree in 4 years. And,
I think just a bachelor's in 4 years.
Okay, bachelor's degree in 4 years. And you're making, I mean, I don't know, you know, regular, I mean, what do you make, 50, 60, $70,000 a year, maybe?
Yeah, people are really happy about that.
And that's like if you get like really lucky, probably, right? And I'm assuming you're probably going to have like $100,000 worth of credit card debt. So in the same amount of time, you went from, like you said a second ago, from the 1 to like the 7, and then struggled, but then figured it out, cracked the code, didn't give up, and then all of a sudden scaled, and now you're no debt. You know, living the life that most people want to live, and if they just wouldn't give up, they could also do the same thing. Because what the listeners need to understand is that me and you are normal people with above average goals and dreams. Like, there's nothing special. I got a 1.7 GPA in high school. Like, I'm open about that because I want people to understand that I barely graduated high school. You know, I just worked really hard. I never liked school. You know, I didn't understand why I needed to know E equals MC squared. You know, I just was like, I want to make money. You know, but that was me. Right. And so, but again, it goes back to what we were talking about. It's just, and that's why I was so curious about your story. Because mine's very similar. You know, mine's very similar in the sense of it took a long time. I'm young, but people don't understand I got kicked out when I was 7 years old.
And the cool thing is now with social media too, especially for somebody who's consistently putting stuff out there, is people can document the progress. Like, I've been on YouTube 4 years now, right? I don't have 1 million followers, but if you go back, like I was telling you, see the video when I had braces, when I was still out there door knocking in the full suit. You saw all that evolution and transition. That's why, regardless of what's happening, people who have been following me for more than a year or two, they know what the deal is, right? They're like, dude, I've seen this guy go from a nobody to wow, right? And there's no denying that, right? And that's the cool thing about this is, it's not the diary anymore. It's a video diary, right? And that's the cool thing is I go back and I look at my videos and I'm like, what was I thinking making that video? Like black bars on the side, 240p quality. You know, it's like 3 seconds long. I'm like, why did I upload that video? It's so stupid, right? And then you see the evolution, and it's nice to look at because now I can gauge and say, wow, look at the progress I've made. Because people don't give themselves credit. That's another thing I talk about a lot on my channel and in my programs is, you'll critique yourself like the grand master, but then when it comes to supporting yourself, it's like you're like the afterthought. There has to be like this balance of that, right? Where if you do push yourself, like, man, you need to pick it up, you're also patting yourself on the back saying, you know what, Austin, you're giving it your all, so keep it up, right? You haven't gotten there yet, but you're still giving it your all. I give myself a few claps, you know?
Celebrate the small victories. Dude, that's my mentor told me that like day one, man. He's like, Austin, you got to celebrate the small victories. You know, you got to recognize those little wins, because if you never stop to think and celebrate, and I don't mean like go to Vegas and freaking get a penthouse and like party your brains out. I just mean like figure out a way where you could celebrate those small victories in a way that makes sense. And you know that allows you to like pull back and recognize that you're making progress. Tony Robbins says progress is the key to happiness.
Absolutely.
You know, so it's not the end result, right? Because the end result, I've been very blessed in my life to hang out with, you know, some of the most successful people on the planet. One thing I've realized is that their problems, they have the same problems I have on a bigger scale. Like the problems never went away for them. They just have a different kind of problem now. You know, while my credit card bills 25 grand a month, theirs is 250 grand a month. The same issue, right? It's just you know, they make more money and this, that, the other thing, whatever. So you know, it's understanding, because I think a lot of people have this, right? They have this thing, like this notion, I know I did at one point, where it's like, if I could just make 100 grand a year, I'll be happy. If I could just make 200 grand a year, I'll be happy. If I could just make 300 grand a year, I'll be happy. And it's like you start to realize that that's actually not happiness at all.
It's not the formula.
It's not the formula, right? The formula is progress. The formula is understanding that Elon Musk is still working towards something. You know, and being okay with that. Not content, but being okay with just, you know.
And you brought something up that's so important that I think is an illusion that for a lot of people is, you brought up like, okay, my credit card is 25, theirs is 250. So as you gain more success and more money, with it comes more, quote, problems and responsibility. And I think people have this illusion like, oh, when I make money, it's easy. It's not.
No.
Right? I have, 4 or 5 other mouths to feed just in this office. I have to take care of that. I'm still helping my family, my friends. I have a ton of, on my plate, as people say.
Totally.
And it gets heavier and heavier as time goes on. As I'm walking through the buffet line now, it's like, oh man, come help me, dude. Like,
exactly.
Right? And people think it gets easier, but you just become better in the process, right? Like, I think now how I manage money and what I do and the decisions I make on a daily basis, I wouldn't have been ready for it 3 years ago. That's why I wasn't afforded the opportunity to be in the position that I'm at, because I wasn't ready. So there's this notion that people also think, oh, you just got lucky. I deserve this shit.
Totally.
Right?
100%.
So people, they don't get it. It's like, it doesn't get easier. Right?
Absolutely.
Every person who I said, they said, enjoy this part. You're struggling, but enjoy it, because once you start getting to my level, there's so much. Right? 100%. There's so much. Like, you have one little item on your desk, I have 1,000. Right?
Exactly.
And I'm like, shit, how do I put this puzzle together? Right?
Exactly.
I'm glad I learned that when I was, coming up
when you're young. For sure.
Dude.
Yeah, and for your listeners, I mean, I don't know, like, I talked about this on my channel actually the other day, but Bob Proctor calls it your personal development set point. And it's and Tony Robbins, I think, calls it, your relationship with money. So, like, 2 different variations of it. But why do you think so many athletes, professional athletes and stuff, go bankrupt so quick? Or lottery winners in 3 years they're bankrupt. Well, because their relationship with money, like, their whole life they're making 50 grand a year, right? 50 grand a year, 50 grand a year, 50 grand a year, 50 grand a year. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, it's like they have $1 million. Well, that it's like a thermometer, right? Like, the thermometer is still set at 50 grand a year. So that just drops right back down to meet their relationship with money. To where if you raise your relationship with money, then money will raise with it. And I think that's so, like, you just touched on that, because you said 3 years ago you wouldn't have been able to, like, process it all the same way and handle it as good as you can now, because the problems still exist. Problems didn't go away. If anything, they got bigger,
amplified.
They got amplified, but you got better. Your personal development set point or your relationship with money got higher, and now the money can catch up to that, and everything works out. And I think that's so crucial that people understand.
It is, man. So I mean, there's a lot of pieces to the puzzle, but I think people, again, I think Tony Robbins calls it, like, they get in a state of overwhelm, but it's like one piece at a time, man. I was like, okay, I'm gonna take the skills of sales, and I started studying. I don't know if you ever knew of that guy, Mystery.
I heard of him.
The whole pick apart thing. I got into that too, just because it taught me some of the crucial stuff, like body language and interacting with men and women and kids and older people, and being comfortable and strategic in every social situation. It's like you're like a social scientist almost, right? Which is so key, because I can go into a room now, and if I want to meet that person, I know what to do to meet them, even if they don't know me, right? And not be awkward about it, right? And all these, and I would just take it one chunk at a time, right? Like I even explained in the training, okay, let's get the part where I say hi to somebody if I go door to door, and get that down. If once I can get 10 in a row where they're receptive, okay, let's move to the next step. But then we'll give 3 or 4 things. They'll watch the video and say, whoa, that's too much, Austin. I can't process it. It's like, dude, watch the first 3 minutes, master that. Watch the next 3 minutes, master that. Chunking it down, right?
Chunking it down.
And then understanding that it's pieces to a puzzle. I just tell people, the classic metaphor I give is like a conveyor belt. It's like you put the feet and the legs of the toy, then the torso, then the arms, then their head. Andy Frisella talks about the power lift, like, and he didn't create it. He probably got it from somewhere. I feel like everybody got everything from, like, Napoleon Hill, and then he got it from, like, someone. But anyways, he talks about doing every day, having 5 things that you're going to accomplish that day. And he's like, it's 5 for a reason. He's like, all you guys want to put 100 things on your list. You're not going to get anything done every day, and you're going to lose every single day. You're going to think you're a failure. He's like, just do 5 things, right? Maybe it's the gym. Okay, the gym, you're going to make 3 phone calls. You're going to go on 3 listing appointments, whatever that is, right? Those 5 things you're going to get done, and what happens is you get those 5 things done, you won the day, right? And then the next day you win the day, the next day you win the day. All of a sudden you become a winner mentally, and as long as are you going to lose? Of course you're going to lose. You're going to lose a day. You get 4 out of the 5 done. Yeah, that's a lose. You lost the day, but win 6 out of 7 days. You're a winner most of the time, and then once that one thing at the top of the list becomes a habit, okay, now you've done the gym for 21 days. Well, replace that with something else. So you're always make that thing that you had to consciously think about, subconscious, and then replace it with a new item. And that way you're never, because I see a lot of people, again, like you said, where they're just trying to do it all at once. And you're not ever going to do it all at once. You're not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. Elon Musk's not going to do it. His Tesla just went and killed somebody, and he's down 22% in one day. He's got to figure it out one baby step at a time. Crazy,
so it's crazy. High-level conversations, but I think it's important that the people that are watching, on your channel or on my channel or wherever they're at, that just understand, like, man, it's just taking it one step at a time and knowing it's a long game.
Yeah.
I loved it when you said at your meeting out there, you're like, man, it's just a long game. Like, I think that should be, because I feel we just live in a world where there's just so many ads now. And there's just so much where people make it look like, oh, you could do this in 3 months.
Get rich quick, yeah.
Get rich quick,
yeah.
get rich quick, get rich quick.
Right.
And there needs to be more authenticity, right? There needs to be more people like us that are saying, look, is it possible? Sure.
Yeah.
It might happen to like 0.001% of people that hit it big and they grow really fast. They make the right decisions, but like that's not really the reality of the situation.
Yeah.
The reality is you got to grind for a little bit.
Right.
It doesn't mean you don't have to do it for 2 or 3 decades anymore, though.
Right. Yeah.
Give it a couple years. You know?
And then since when did 2 or 3 years become a long time?
Exactly.
It's like, dude, you're 18, you'll be 20, 21.
Exactly.
You can be living actual pretty good life.
Really good life. 100%.
But again, it's, they get caught up in, well, so-and-so just bought a Lambo. Oh, Austin just got an invented. Or, oh, this guy just got this house. Like, what the hell? They feel like because they're constantly trying to measure themselves up to the next guy.
Exactly.
I think it's
all a comparison game.
Has happened with social media too,
it totally has. Yeah. So it's taking a step back sometimes and just saying, you know what? Like, I just got to get better. It's cool. You're doing great. That's awesome. Good for you. But stay in your own lane.
Yeah.
Just get better one day at a time.
That's what I tell my friends. Like, dude, good for you, man. Because I have some friends who are going on. Seems like hyperspeed. Great, man. Fuck.
Yeah, totally.
Where's the party?
Yeah,
I'm coming. Right. I want to sit in the car too. Yeah.
I hang out with buddies every day, and it's like, dude, like you made how many million last month?
Yeah.
Like I'm like, good for you. That's freaking awesome. And you could just as easily be like, F you, man. Like. What the heck? Why the hell am I not there?
Yeah.
But it's like, well, it's just not your time yet. Like, it's just you got to grind a little bit more.
And that attitude will repel success from you. Actually,
exactly.
You can't become something that you hate.
Exactly.
That's what they don't get. So when people start getting that way,
right?
It's almost like I want to warn them, but at the same time, it's like, fuck, man, you're digging your own grave.
100%, dude. 100%. Well, I feel like this is a really awesome conversation. Do you have anything to add to it for either of our channels?
No, man. Where can I get those cool glasses?
Dude. Freaking, I think I bought them at like Macy's.
He's got the crazy aviators.
Yeah, exactly. Just so everybody can see. But no, man. I mean, appreciate you being on my channel. I think this might go on your channel.
Absolutely,
and or at least bits and pieces of it. I think this is something that everyone needs to hear.
Or if anything, I could just say, comment below if you want us, because we could even, when you're in Arizona, we could just get on like a Skype or a
100%.
Zoom. And if they want us to discuss a certain subject more in detail for 10, 15, 20 minutes, we can. So
Absolutely.
I'll invite people to.
Yeah, and for those of you guys that don't know, I mean, Brian, how old are you?
32 in June.
32, so freaking absolutely murdering it in real estate. Has a freaking awesome Huracan. Actually, in my IG, if you guys follow me on IG, I posted so you'll be getting some followers out there. For sure. Tag you in that. But yeah, definitely comment down below. I think that I've been trying to like get my audience to engage more.
Yeah.
And I think for those of you guys to comment down below, give us ideas. What do they want to see? Because real estate, I think, is the thing. We were talking a little while ago. I was like in Arizona. I live in Arizona. We're in California right now, but 900 new agents a month are joining the multiple listing service in Arizona.
Yeah.
So, in 2 counties in Arizona. Real estate's hot, and real estate's a niche where you can get into the market with. I mean, it takes 5,000 hours to get a license to cut hair, and like anywhere from like 60 to 120 hours to sell somebody's house, like the most expensive asset that they'll ever own. And you can make a truly amazing income with it. And nowadays, you could go join a good team that will feed you. Yeah, they might take 50% of your deal, but what I tell people? That's 50% more than you would have had otherwise.
Right. Yep.
So just go master the craft. Let them feed you. Let them show you how to write the contracts, do all the stuff, get really good at it, and in a couple of years, go do your own thing.
And what people don't realize too, and I'm sure you realize this too, is getting into real estate. It's not necessarily that the real estate itself is going to be your end game. It's a great door opener to other things. That's what led me to teaching and doing all this stuff, and getting more involved in the car community, collabing with people like you, and doing all this stuff. It's like, it's opened up a door into like another labyrinth where it's like, whoa, I didn't know this existed, So it may not have been, because it's not, I tell people, real estate sales isn't my passion. I got good at it, I can do it, but I'm giving everything to my team. It's like, I'll work with a couple clients here and there, but it's more about, I'm creating like an empire now. This is part of it. They can grow with it. They can help grow it. And that's just one piece of the empire. It's like the grand hall, the great hall. And then there's still 6 other segments to it,
Yep, I love it. And you have one more thing to say?
No, I was going to say that, and that's so overlooked. It's like, don't come into real estate just saying, well, fuck, I have to slave away 12 hours a day. You don't have to do that. It's just the beginning. And if you like to do it, great. But if not, you'll have a gazillion other opportunities.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. And then my final thing to that would be this, and then I'll finish the video, is, you know, I see a lot of people right now that and this is my theory, okay? I've had a theory on it for a while. They want to get in, and I'm not bad talking these industries, but they want to get into Shopify or Amazon FBA or e-commerce or whatever like that, because they want to just sit behind their computer in their pajamas and make money. And you just said it perfectly. It's not, well, I'm all for that, and totally you can make a lot of money, but no doors will ever open from that. You're going to make whatever you make from trading stocks, and you're going to sit there in your pajamas and make that money and put it in your bank account. But you're never going to meet cool people. Doors are never going to open in any other industries. Like, you're never going to be able to make other investments, right? Like, again, it's not about the real estate. Absolutely. It's about getting good with people. You've got to be a good people person. That's the only, it's not about what you know, it's about who you know.
And it's a skill, by the way. People think like, oh, well, they'll say, well, you know, Austin, I'm an introvert. It doesn't matter. Kevin, my guy, used to be, like, when I met him, I was like, this guy's awkward as fuck.
Totally.
But now he's a monster, dude. We go out and he's like talking to people and he's like the life of the party. And he's only been with me like 3 months. It's like, it's insane.
Exactly.
Right? So don't get caught up, well, you know, I'm introvert, or, you know, I'm insecure about the way I look, dude. It's a skill. It's 100% a skill.
Yeah, absolutely. Awesome. Well, hey, brother, it was great meeting you, brother. Hey, thank you guys for watching.
Subscribe to this guy.
Subscribe to this guy.